This is Reactcast, and I'm Johnny.
I'm Rose.
I'm Nikki.
And this is the Reactcast podcast.
Yeah.
So, not a huge amount of news happened in the previous week, but we are going to be changing things up. So, Christmas is coming up as a recording of this video, and we were thinking about shortening the amount of time between our recording and going public on YouTube, because right now it's 4 weeks ahead if you get up on Patreon. We thought that the gap in time is just so massive that a lot of the time, like if we got something wrong, it's just super old news before the time you guys get to actually talking about it
On YouTube.
And if there is something that is pertinent to what's going on right now, like a whole month later, it kind of kills the whole point of talking about the news in that regard, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be shortening it down to 2 weeks ahead, in addition with taking a Christmas skipping week for the podcast. So basically it's going to be a season ending with this episode right here. It's going to be the final one for the year. And then next year we're going to start off with a season 2 and try to continue figuring out how the format is for this thing.
Yeah, we're working out the kinks still.
So other than that, we also have some more news. So that, mangakas, they just always get sick. They work way too hard.
Yeah.
So My Hero's Academy is taking a 1 week hiatus on the manga because his health is just worsening, and I need to give him a break. So that thing is still going around.
Oh, goodness.
Nothing going around. I just mean like people are getting sick, not COVID or anything.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, under the stressful conditions that they're working, plus the diseases that are just flying around right now, when you're stressed out, you're more susceptible to sickness. So it makes sense that they're gonna be dropping. I don't want to say the whole phrase, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sad. I hope I want them to make. I'm glad they're giving them a break.
1 week.
1 week.
Get better now.
I know, but I don't want anything bad to happen because My Hero's just. I want to see this to the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How far ahead is the manga?
That's what I was thinking. When I saw it had a 1 week hiatus, like, wait, I thought it was done.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about it like it's done.
Yeah. But I guess it's just this. There's a big arc that this arc that everyone was looking forward to, so they kind of forgot about what would happen next.
Yeah, it's like Endgame.
Yeah.
Like Endgame. Everybody drops off after Endgame.
We were talking about even when this arc started, we were like, oh my gosh, this can't end.
It felt
well.
like the end.
Yeah, it felt like at the end, but the way they spun it, he was like, okay, fine, we live to fight another day.
Yeah, we have to see what happens.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, so like, the manga could be like barely ahead of it, and that's why everyone's talking about it like it's about to be finished. But I'm really curious to see if they're gonna go the whole like Batman Superman route, in that they're just like, they're out there, Batman always has Joker, that Joker always breaks out, or Superman's always out there, he's always fighting Lex Luthor. Are we going to take that route with Shigaraki? He's like growing up, this is his nemesis, and they're just going back and forth, something like that. Because that way they could end it here. It's just like, there's a threat that is always out there, but he's the only one who can take him on, and that's how he becomes the world's greatest hero.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't want to look into how far the manga was because I
you might
figured
get spoilers.
it's going to be spoiler city. Like, so after this happens and that happens, this is where we are. You know?
Yes.
That's how people talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, the only way I can orient you is to give you specific details that will spoil the rest of your experience.
Yeah. But also, the manga could just be like a couple weeks ahead.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah.
I think that's what... No, I don't think it was Ranking of Kings that did that. I don't remember what anime I watched that did that. But because the manga stopped, they had to stop the anime for 2 weeks, I think, and then they kept going.
Because they were that close?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, I prefer that. Like, just pause the anime. I prefer that to the anime trying to figure out a way to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and we end up with that.
Yeah. The charts.
Yeah, let's not do that. I will rather wait. I want it good. I want it done well.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's weird? It's something I actually really enjoy, but it's so risky and you can't get a guarantee of it working out. I like it when the manga runs out of time and the show has to go past it, and the showrunners make up whatever they want for the ending, and then we see the manga's ending like years later.
Oh, like
I like
Fullmetal
that.
Alchemist?
Like Fullmetal Alchemist, just to see how crazy it gets.
I do kind of like it. It's annoying if you're watching it happen at the same time. It's more something I'm like, oh look, this happened. Let me watch them both. It's great. Yeah.
I disagree. I'm over here now. Wait, so Fullmetal Alchemist, what we saw, That's not what the manga
that
intended.
is the manga.
That is
Oh,
the
that
manga.
was the... So,
There was a previous run of Full Metal Alchemist.
oh, that's right. You guys were talking about that.
That, yeah, it went off the rails a little bit because the manga didn't finish before the anime was like, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. I didn't see Hunter x Hunter, but I know Hunter x Hunter had a similar situation. Did it change things up for its ending, or did it just stop? But I know they had caught up to the manga, and then they had to drop it. I
I think they stopped. They put a little bit of a bow on it, but it's like a bow that you can unwrap and continue knitting. You know what I mean?
Interesting
Analogy.
combination of analogies there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just struggled together. I don't know what I was saying.
But you see shows like we're just looking at Code Geass here. Code Geass is an entirely anime only show, and even it has a hard time keeping its own canon.
Yes.
So stuff like that I find very interesting, but at the same time, when we saw things like the Akira the Exile just go off the rails with the canon and with the characters that are introduced that never come back, it's times like that I wish there was a central manga, because I would know exactly what the author intended, a singular vision to come back to, no matter how crazy the guys who are making stuff up come from. Kind of like Star Wars had the expanded universe. They had like space bunnies and weird things expanded universe. But at the end of the day, you could always come back to the movies or like a core line of books from really respected authors, and that's the real canon,
Yeah.
But everything else is out there.
I just had a thought, and I wonder how many mangakas / writers do this. I'm sure there are some out there at least, but I don't know how prevalent. Is you have, say, either a manga or even anime only, and you have like the character Bible for the show. You know what I mean? Like personally, if I was writing
the wiki.
Exactly, the wiki. I don't know why I said it like that. Sorry. Yeah, the wiki, or that could work. It's where you just, but I want one not made by fans, that the author made. So that, like I said, I started saying, if I was personally making a manga, let's stick with a manga. I guess maybe I'm just the control person in me. Like, I want people to understand my characters the way I intended them to be understood. Unless I just have a mysterious character that I just want people to guess about.
Yeah.
Then that's intentional. But otherwise, like, I want you to know that Marie is a very traumatized child, and the reason she always yells at 3-year-olds is because her 3-year-old older brother stole her favorite doll and threw it out the window when they were driving to Texas one day, and she hated him ever since. Something like that. That was one story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like core principles that the character can be guided around.
Exactly. So that if the animator.
Wow.
If the animator is the anime just happens to go ahead, they have my character Bible to make decisions based on. They can say, okay, so and so is like this, so they wouldn't do this.
Yes.
They would do this, so they have something to go off, so they're not going crazy.
Yeah.
But so, from your experience or your knowledge, apart from like fan-made wikis, do authors or writers or artists do that?
No clue. I know that it is something that some writers do. They have what's called a character sheet.
Well, I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a common practice for people who write mangas or light novels. I really don't know. But it's a thing that writers do sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of work because you really got to think about it.
They definitely usually try to do that for like say a Star Wars type world, which is a big world, and there's a lot of different like nuances to different things. They try to keep their world like locked down and tight, makes sense.
I feel like it would become necessary sometimes. Like I think about My Hero, all the different characters in My Hero. You're gonna lose track at some point, and and take the girl that what's the Vine girl, for example, and she says this one prayer at one point, and then she does something totally wrong like 3 years later. It's like, that's not right, it's a loophole, or whatever you call it, plot hole. Yeah, against her character, because you just lost sight of so many characters that got introduced. So I feel like it's gonna be necessary for some shows, but I don't know like how much they depend on that, I guess, versus just the mangaka knows in his head.
I think a lot of it also has to do with how serious the mangaka portrays situations. Because like there's sometimes characters, like if you take Deadpool for instance, right? He's very jokey. He does some really weird things that you wouldn't expect out of him because he's a very random character.
Yeah, makes sense.
But he got like core principles of like he's really actually a traumatized person. He actually tries to do the right thing by people, and he really wants to die. You know, like core things. and if you're like another writer coming in, or if you're somebody, even fan fictions want to write about this character, they can wrap themselves around that, but at the same time, because the character itself is not taking himself very seriously, you can just do something completely crazy. Like he could be a very serious character in this comic book, which is something they kind of did with I can't remember exactly the name of the run, but it was a run where the Marvel Universe, like the worlds were colliding. Like that run of Deadpool was much more serious, and it had a lot of heartfelt moments, like trying to find his kid and what happened to his wife in North Korea. Had a whole lot of stuff. It got pretty crazy, but that Deadpool is as legit as all the others because it doesn't seem out of character for someone who didn't take himself seriously as a core piece of him, you know?
It doesn't break the canon of the character.
Yeah, and then for like character sheets, like you're saying, like we saw that when we were looking up Death Note characters. They literally had a character sheet of how intelligent they were, their favorite things, and what they liked to do as a kid. So that no matter what happens, no matter who writes about this character, they have to abide by this because the author themselves put their vision on paper.
Yeah.
You know, really interesting. Oh yeah, before I forgot, I wanted to make mention. So we had I made a mistake, I guess, when I was reading from the anime news site about Wit Studio doing the second season of Vinland Saga. So it isn't Wit Studio, but MAPPA is doing it.
Oh.
But MAPPA's doing it having hired the core members from the previous season to do the new season.
Okay.
So it's as if the same studio is doing it.
Right.
But
so it should look the same at least.
It should look the same.
Okay.
Had the same vibe.
Yeah. I remember there was some confusion around that, but I could have sworn I was reading it from the website itself. But I think that's also a part of the issue where I was saying, like, this is a month ahead, behind by the time it's up on YouTube.
Yeah, so it's gone. Here we are correcting
If there was a correction there, by the time they see it on YouTube, it's like, oh, no, that's not right. This is the news. Like, but at the time, you know, I also could have just read it wrong. But yeah. So I was also just looking at our schedule. And, you know, with us being all busy and all having different stuff to do these days, it's interesting and a little difficult to insert new shows, but it's also, like, you remember back in the day, you would just be watching a show and you say, hey, I want to watch this, and that's how we started watching Bloodline, Blockade Battlefield.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
That was a good anime.
It was a good anime. It was very weird, it's hard to keep track of, but every week we wanted to see it because how weird it was. And thinking about it, it probably would have been a great reaction show.
I think it would have been great.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah, but that kind of thing, we can't really do that anymore because one, it's not really the main thing that we go to do now that it's something that we have kind of on a schedule. Things kind of change. Like we both enjoy watching anime. You still watch anime regularly. Yeah. But when we sit down to watch anime and then like I sit down to edit the anime for like a couple hours.
You like don't want to see anime anymore.
It's not that I hate anime.
Yeah.
But it's like if I'm just trying to just chill, maybe I want to catch up on this, I don't know, like a comedy show that I've been trying to do. Or maybe there's this game that I wanted to finish for a while. Like the other things that I've been putting behind to watch the show anyway. It's like separate the time space. Why would I give more time to that? You know, kind of thing. So it's just weird keeping your ear out for these things when the time's constrained. But we have like Mob Psycho's finishing. Yeah. And Underground Kings was saying, you know, Chainsaw Man is actually really good. I think you guys will like it. And I was like, that was because I was iffing on butting on it before. But that's one of those shows that would have done probably very well on the channel. But we didn't have a whole lot of time. I honestly don't think we could have fit it in without... I think it was coming out right after Code Geass finished, I think.
Oh. Well, yeah, if we probably would have done it instead of To Eternity if it had gotten a vote. Because To Eternity got voted in, right?
Yeah. But the thing is also the poll shows are all old shows. No new shows gets on the poll. So then the slot that it has to be... The slot it has to go into has to be... a concurrent show. Like we didn't do Andor because of time constraints, and I wasn't sure how good it would do. But Andor did very well. Yeah, people were like surprised at how good Andor did. So it's a Star Wars show.
Oh, you haven't heard? Yeah,
barely. I heard the word
Star Wars series on Disney Plus.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying all that to say there's lots of shows coming out, and stuff like Chainsaw Man fall by the wayside. Not because I don't want to watch the show, but it's just when you've got like 1 hour to fit something in, and you've got a show like Mob Psycho coming back, which one are you gonna pick? It's like you gotta finish the show you started before.
Yeah.
And you can't just drop like I don't know, like Tanya the Evil actually got voted for, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we were thinking about watching Chainsaw Man after Mob Psycho, but it would have to be like pretty much next year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can't start immediately for sure.
Which is not that far away. We're like 3 weeks away from next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chainsaw Man is a 12 episoder. So yeah, and then also we've got Vinland Saga coming back on top of that. But the thing is, Chainsaw Man got renewed for second season. It's already in pre-production now. So it's like one of those shows that we should probably get watching it while we can. I can't remember how we were watching Demon Slayer and we had to double up to catch up to the current season coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many episodes in Tanya the Evil?
12. And the movie. A 1 hour movie.
And how where are we now? 5, 6, 7?
6. We're about to watch 7.
7? We're halfway through. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking it might not. How long do you think, if it's in pre-production, Chainsaw Man, before they'll be like 2024?
They're expecting late 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could just count up the weeks and see if we can manage to just wait till Tanya the Evil ends to start it, to see if we have like enough weeks.
Yeah. You just need 2.5 months to get through a 12 episode show, like Chainsaw Man, right? And if worst comes to worst, and we're like, okay, we're gonna be 2 weeks late, we could just double it up.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Because I'd rather, not... Because I think we need to for sure do Vinland Saga, because we started it. It's like... It makes sense to keep going unless it sucked, like... Sales at work and nobody was, like, itching to go and watch more. But, I think Vinland did pretty well when it was on the channel. I don't remember.
I think it was the first show that was getting us over 1,000, I want to say.
Really? I thought it.
I can't remember.
We can check.
I can check right now.
It did do well.
Yeah, 4.3K on the first video, which you can't really judge the whole series off the first video.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, let's see how this is going to go.
Then 2K on the second one.
Yeah.
So.
Usually the second one, there's going to be, if you'll kind of tell you immediately, like if people are going to keep following it by the second one.
Yeah. The third one is usually the one that I got nail biters for, because like the second one, you get the followers, but then by the third one, it kind of can get an idea of the stabilization.
Yeah.
But we got more in the third one.
3 episode rule.
3 episode rule. I didn't know it did that one, because those would be like good numbers now.
Yeah.
It's also been a year. So, because I got someone asking me where we watched the Bacchanal videos.
Oh yeah. There are people still asking, where did you? Well, at the time.
A year later.
At the time, we found it and then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
It was just on YouTube.
It was just on YouTube and then it just disappeared again.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube just for us.
Just for us.
I think like 40 episodes are still on YouTube, but
4?
Yeah, like 4 of them from the same person, but most of them are gone now. Yeah, that's just one of those shows that it's gray area where like people who should have the copyright aren't really doing anything with it, and the only way to watch Bacchanal is to buy like a $70 set, or at least it was last time I checked. Kind of like how Code Geass, there was nowhere to watch the movie. Yeah.
But we got off on this tangent about Vinland Saga because
we were talking about
type of shows that we are watching, will watch.
Oh. Right. We want to keep going with Vinland because we started it and it did well. Right. And then we'll wait a little bit to do Chainsaw Man. And I think we'll be okay for 2.5 months. Should be fine.
Still not jazzed about Chainsaw Man, but I'll watch
really?
it, I guess.
You're afraid that it's more gory than... that you won't be able to... Or you would hate it.
Yeah.
Does it go bother you?
I don't like it. I'll sit through it, but I don't like it.
Okay. Yeah. It's just that if anyone bothered, I thought it would bother
She's
you.
most bothered, but it does bother me.
I thought you said you were cool with gore.
I don't have as a problem with gore as with occult. That's what I was saying. But I do dislike gore, especially, Jujutsu Kaisen the movie. That was like a level past where I was used to, especially because I got used to Jujutsu Kaisen and then the movie was like, oh, okay. So, I can get used to it, but it's not something, I say that to say it's not something that stops me, especially if we're reacting. It's not something that would stop me.
This was one of those shows that was like, I'm really on the fence, like, I don't want to put you guys through if you don't watch,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is another show that I just heard about just because it came up on my recommended for some reason. I just got a random Japanese video, full Japanese. No subtitles, no nothing. The entire comment section, there's one English comment that was like, hey, English comment passing through. But yeah, so this manga is getting an anime show called Go Go Loser Ranger. I saw there was a firestorm over the name. Apparently, it's one of those, it's Tanya the Evil type situations.
Oh, it's not a good
The
translation.
title's not that, but it kind of catches the eye because everyone thinks Go Go Power Rangers.
Right.
So that's what they went with.
Do you know what the actual title translates to?
I had it memorized and I can no longer remember. So let's see.
Written it down.
Additionally, Sentai disqualification. So Ranger Reject. Yeah, that's what people are saying it should be called. Ranger Reject.
That's cool. Ranger Reject is cool. This is annoying.
Go Loser Ranger.
Yeah, that just I don't like it.
I saw some angry comments. They're like, it's just playing up to this for no reason. Just go with Ranger Reject. But yeah, Tanya the Evil situation.
Ranger Reject is more catchy.
To me, yeah, then
It
Go
sounds
Loser
better.
Ranger.
But if you're trying to catch the crowd, it's like, remember Power Rangers? It's
Yeah.
exactly what
What's
this
weird
is.
is I read that like several times before you said it, and it did not.
It didn't
connect to
register
me.
for me until he mentioned it.
I was like, why is it Go Go Loser Ranger? And then you sung it.
Yeah.
You did the singy version. I was like, oh, there it is.
So Ranger Reject is kind of the thing where I guess if you walked into the show with that thing that I was saying with Power Rangers, you might be thinking, all right, let's see some Power Ranger tropes.
Yeah, that's
And
what I was
Tanya the Evil, you
expecting.
expected Tanya to be evil because
Yeah.
of the title. But Ranger Reject is just a ranger. A ranger could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if this is kind of off the heels of there was a anime coming out that was Power Ranger who he's also a detective. He owns a detective agency. And that's basically the whole thing. He owns a detective agency. He's kind of bad at it.
Oh. This is more comedic.
A little bit more comedic. But yeah, it's more like they had this girl in there and she wears like this see-through shirt and no bra. So I'm like, okay, is this for kids or
Okay.
you know?
How gruesome were the detective adventures?
It wasn't gruesome, not gruesome at all. It was still very like you could see like a kid sitting down to watch this until she comes on the screen.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, okay, question mark, question mark.
I mean, how detailed was it though? Because like I've noticed in a lot of animes, they don't treat nudity as big of a deal as they do in the West. So like if it's like a, I don't know, I guess you say a Barbie doll, or like a super, like a clothing market model kind of thing, they probably wouldn't care.
I'm trying to remember because I was not that into the show itself.
Well, if it's Code Geass, it's too far.
I don't think it was quite Code Geass. I think it tried to be like in the first couple of episodes, but then I think it dropped it.
Well, we've called our audience. We're back.
Basically. Well, how about we do more reminiscing about old shows that we did? Because we went on for a long time in like one of the last.
Like old shows
Podcast.
that we watched as kids, or on the show, on like Breakcast.
As kids.
As kids.
Because we were going off about like, oh my gosh, Powerpuff Girls,
we
and then
just-
we got onto Power Rangers, and we just went on.
There is something that I've been wondering about. So occasionally I was like, should I go back and watch some shows I never got to see the ending of? Because there was like a Foster's Home for the Imaginary Friends.
Yeah.
I watched that show in its entirety. I loved the show.
Yeah.
And I never got to see the ending.
The plot was basically, Blue is eventually scared he's gonna be forgotten, and I can't remember his name. The
Max.
boy, Max. Max was like, no, I'm gonna keep coming to visit. But then, like, how did it end? Did he ever stop visiting? Did he grow up? Like, he has to grow up, right?
Yeah.
Like, does he stay young forever? He takes a pill and stays young forever. Or does he just able to see him throughout his years? Because even the old lady, she can see them, so it's possible.
Yeah.
I think everyone could see them, right?
No.
No?
Only if you kept your love for them, or your memory stayed like for a while, but as you grew up you kind of like forgot about them and they ended up there.
Some of them could still see it. Like what was his name?
Frankie could see
Will, the really tall basketball player. Will's friend came back in one of the episodes. He ended up being like an actual basketball player. And he came back and they became friends again, but I don't think we ever saw him again after that. So I think it just depends on.
So I thought it was like they could see them. Yeah, I think that's what it was, because I remember there was speaking of going to the mall, Blue became like a spokesperson for some perfume or cologne thing. and it was like super overpriced or whatever, but he was on TV and everything, so people had to be able to see him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I barely remember that episode.
I don't. It sounds like something he'd do though.
He got that guy arrested for fraud. It was hilarious. Yeah. Because he basically wrote him into a terrible contract where he's basically a slave working for this guy, not getting paid a whole lot. And like, yeah, listen, you're just here to sell this useless junk, all right? And the cops were right there, and it's like, all right, it may not be illegal to exploit people with contracts, but it is illegal to falsely advertise. And just took him away.
Oh, wow.
Like, no. And that was the end of it.
Great job, Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember there were 3 times I nearly got to see the ending of that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed every single one of them because one time it was coming on TV and it had something to do with school. I had to leave or do something. And then another time it was coming on TV and I think Dad had to watch, like, it was either the Super Bowl or some big show for sports.
Mm-hmm.
And the third time I was like, oh, it's coming on at this time of night, all right? I just forgot. So I never got to see the final episode. And it was a big deal. They advertised it on Cartoon Network, like, you see the final episode.
Yeah.
And we're just going to stop, and they just stopped showing it. And I never got to see it ever again. Like, stopped reruns, stopped everything.
Aww.
Yeah. You have any shows like that?
That I forgot, that I never saw the end of. Well, I have shows that I abandoned. Powerpuff Girls. Because I love...
Powerpuff Girls?
Oh, yeah. Because they grew them up. And had
They
them.
did?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was like a permanent grow up
I think that was a 1 episode.
Yeah, I hated it so
thing.
much. And the Rowdy Rough Boys, I didn't like them. I liked that they didn't like them, but they became a staple.
Yeah.
And I very much disliked it. And I was like, yeah, no more. Because they were my show.
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls was me and my...
Totally Spies.
Oh yeah, Totally Spies. Oh yeah,
that's a good
love
show.
that one. That was a good show.
I think they've done a remake of that.
I don't know if I'd watch it.
I'm not gonna watch it either.
No, I want to keep my nostalgia nice and safe.
Oh my gosh, the browser game for Totally Spies
Yes,
was incredible.
so well made.
Oh
I
my
think.
gosh.
We don't know
You
anymore.
don't remember?
No, I'm saying it could have been trash for all we know.
I mean, compared to like today's games,
Oh yeah,
it would be hard to.
Back then it was very hype.
But nobody
Well
makes
done.
browser games that good anymore. I played that game probably every single day for a solid 2 weeks.
Yeah. I played it a lot too, and I remember even after I stopped playing, you were like still playing for a long time. Yeah, Totally Spies gives me like some good feels when I think about that show. I don't know, it was, I think they had boy interests, but not really.
Yeah.
It's like they were very independent women, you know.
Independent women.
And I think that's one of the things is very interesting as an emotional person. I stay away from romances because I'm so emotional. I hate the romantic tie-up and tangle that they like to do in the shows.
Especially the way they tend to do it.
Yes, and any show that did that, so iCarly, when they did that, I abandoned them.
Yeah.
Which I think we got into that enough last time.
Yeah.
But like Totally Spies did not do that to me. And I think that's why to the very last episode that I ever saw, I still have good feelings and happy memories of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sometimes, the majority of the times in cartoons, whenever a romance starts
That's the
actually occurring, the characters change.
Yeah.
And so it stops being them.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it starts focusing so much. That character just becomes
It is
their
a relationship.
romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, which is why I think we've talked about this before. We were so pleasantly surprised with Phineas and Ferb that Candice stayed Candice after she had started dating Jeremy. And Jeremy stayed Jeremy.
Yeah.
Usually once they start dating, especially the side character that they're interested, becomes
Integral in the show.
the only thing about that character becomes their romance.
Yeah. You know what I think kind of helped that is the fact that Candice from the beginning was obsessed with Jeremy. Candice, yeah, she was always like Jeremy.
Yeah, but I don't know if that would...
I'm saying it helped in that when a relationship happened, it wasn't. They didn't have to. It didn't feel like. I mean, if it was big, like, oh my gosh, she actually is working. Something's happening here. It didn't feel like.
New.
New, yeah, because she was always in love with him. So whenever he came up, even if it was often, it was like, oh yeah, that's Candice, you know. So like, I think that helped, but at the same time, she stayed always after her brothers, you know.
That was the core thing that everyone came back to. Character sheets.
Incredible.
But that reminds me. Totally Spies. They did have a kind of permanent love interest, but he was like the only male spy in the group. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I think he was like
yes.
a double spy, and then he turned
was a
into a triple
agent.
spy, and then he turned into a quadruple spy, and then he went back to a triple spy at one point. I think.
I think he just was a triple. Yeah.
I vaguely remember him. Were they all in love with him?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
That was it. Yeah. So
They
there
were
was
never
no
actually going to get.
Yeah. No
this
one's
guy.
gonna win.
Yeah, he was like the best agent that they had at the place, and then he swapped, and then he was the main antagonist, and he swapped again. And he's like, I was always on your side. And that was the ending.
Oh.
Like he came after the ending. He was actually on their side.
Oh yeah. I never saw the
I don't
ending.
remember.
Yeah. I do remember that, but that's still a pleasant memory.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a. I'm trying to figure out why we love these shows so specifically. I think it's maybe the with Codename Kids Next Door, like random objects, regular objects just becoming suddenly
Yes.
gadgets. Like
Yes.
you remember the compact that they had it would like laser
compact.
It would do all kinds of things.
Yes.
And then the laser lipstick. They had a lot of
I was gonna remember the
lasers in that
lipstick.
show.
Yes, they had a lot of lasers. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like the art. And there's something also about like a triple, like a triple group, a group of three.
Trio.
Trio, that's the word.
Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls that I really liked. I think I know why, because at the time it wasn't even us three. It was me and my two female cousins. It was us. We were the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh.
And then for Totally Spies, though, I think that was us.
That's what we started
we
watching.
enjoyed Totally Spies. I don't know, something about the trio that that bounce off each other. Even like when I was drawing.
Not too many, not too little amount of people.
Yeah, when I would make up characters and stuff, I would always do 3 people. But yeah.
Yeah, thinking about it, yeah, you do always.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Could be my psyche.
Do you remember? Oh gosh, what is it called? HPAC.
What?
Oh yeah, HPA team.
HPA team.
Yeah,
Our,
I made a song and everything.
yeah,
Oh,
our characters that we made up and then just dropped immediately.
Yeah.
They were also spies. Basically,
They were-
totally spies.
Yeah, just there were 2 boys and a girl. Yeah.
And one was based off of my Bratz doll.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but she knows because she was there when I was coming up with it.
Yeah, and I was watching her draw based off of my Bratz doll. I'm like, what is this magic? And then she also because I don't remember what kind of weapons we did, but we fully drew like a rifle.
Yes.
We used one of your toy rifles.
Yes, it was your.
And you drew it based off of that. And I was
Shark.
like, this is incredible. Yeah.
Shark was based off one of your toys.
Yeah.
It was like a G.I. Joe toy or something.
I helped you make that character up, and I remember that because I insisted on his name was Sharp, but you're like, wait, it's way too on the nose for him to be using knives, and his name is Shark. And so you're like, Shark was a compromise.
Okay. I don't remember.
You still thought it was stupid as hell. We're like, fine. You got to make up so much of him, he gets to be Shark.
You know what?
What?
Thinking about his name a while ago, it makes sense. No, I was like, what the heck did I choose that name? It's like, that's such a dumb name. It's because I was compromising with you. Oh, that makes so much sense.
It makes more sense.
Yes.
I don't remember either of the other people's names, but Shark is the only one I remember.
In my defense, I was like 8 or 7 even.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah.
I remember, I can see their faces, but I can't remember the girl's name.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember we made like 4 panels of the comic before we dropped it, and she was like, I don't remember what she was doing, but she was like trying to get out of Cheer Squad or something to get to her mission.
No, it was my character sheet I started making.
Oh.
Yes, it was her. It was basically supposed to describe her personality, that she was a leader, but kind of just lazy. So she would climb up in the tree and tell people, do that, do that. That's what it was. And she was getting out of helping.
Okay.
And everybody was carrying stuff around. I do that character a lot. A character that just orders people around. I wonder what that says about me.
I actually had a question for you because there was this one show that people keep saying was a great show. I remember seeing like one scene of it vaguely, and it was Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I thought it's either you watched it a lot at one point or you never watched it. I can't remember which it was.
We talked about it last time, and I watched it a lot in the beginning before I understood what I was watching. Because it's creepy.
Yeah.
People describe it as creepy.
But everybody loves it. Like my friends on Twitch and everybody are like, oh my gosh, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I'm like, yeah, nostalgia. Which it is. It's very nostalgic because I watched it so much. But then when I came to myself, when I became aware, I was like, I don't like this show. I'm not watching it anymore. It creeped me out. But I remember one scene for sure when a sidekick was helping somebody communicate with some dead person, but then she saw a yo-yo instead. That's like an iconic scene. She was like, I see, a yo-yo. And Courage was like, oh, my yo-yo. Because that the whole episode, that's what he was looking for. So I remember that scene at least, and that brings back funny chuckles, you know.
Yeah,
I remember seeing literally just one scene of that show. It's like Courage is running down a hall, and then he opens the door, and there's a monster back there, and he closes the door back. And I was like, off goes the TV. That's enough for me.
That was basically his life. Like everything creepy and crazy happened around him, and he's the only one who saw. Like the old people that are his owners never saw anything. So that's why I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, he's all alone. But then when it's kind of like I watched, you know, Carrie.
Carrie. Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah, the horror movie.
Carrie, the horror movie Carrie. Yeah, I have very distinct memories of seeing that show to the end. And then, like, it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, this is a horror movie. Because it didn't scare me. Like, I was never scared of horror shows. It's only when I became aware, like, as a teen and adult, and I was like, I don't like horror shows. But when I was little, I used to watch anything, and it never bothered me. And I watched the last scene of Carrie. Spoilers, when the head comes up through the ground and holds on to the one girl who likes her. And because he was like, oh, you like me, you're gonna die with me now. I don't know. But that's the last scene. And when that's happened, it's like, wait a minute, that's not right. And I was like, oh, it's scary. Because like I watched the whole blood scene, you know, the tropey queen scene, that, and I watched the whole thing, and I was like, this is kind of weird. But I'm gonna keep watching. It didn't weird me out at all. So I think that's why I was able to watch shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it never bothered me, because I was just like a carefree, not thinking person when I was little.
Courage the Cowardly Dog, like with horror?
Oh no, yeah. Well, not horror, but just like creepy, like scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's meant to be funny, scary, but it's drawn in a like for a little child. It's supposed to be scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
People describe it to me as a creepy show, but that it's like Gravity Falls, but more hardcore. Because like Gravity Falls, they deal with monsters and stuff. But at no point would I ever describe Gravity Falls as a terrifying show, even though the characters are dealing with things that for them would be scary, you know. But there's still an air of lightness to it.
Yeah, because like they throw jokes, or the way they draw it.
The way they draw it, the jokes. But the Courage the Cowardly Dog seems to specialize in disturbing imagery.
Gruesome, yeah.
Like just a 3D character suddenly being in a 2D plane.
Yeah, just uncanny and weird. Yeah. It was like that.
So I just don't understand what the
draw.
What the plot was.
Oh, the plot. It was just surrounded around. It was just surrounded by oh my gosh, it was surrounded around the fact that he is the only one who knows that there are creepy things going on, and the old people, like, they're clueless. So it was just funny. That was the funny meat of it, really. I can't remember any other running plot. I really don't remember anything else about it.
Back then, were there really any shows with plots?
No.
I mean,
feel like there were some.
Cat Dog.
Yeah, Cat Dog had no plot.
SpongeBob. For some reason, immediately reminded me of Back at the Barnyard.
Yeah, I thought you guys were gonna say that one because you guys loved Back at the Barnyard.
I loved Back at the Barnyard.
That show was great.
It was amazing.
I loved that show, and I didn't even watch it as much as you guys. But when I caught him, still good times. Yeah. See you next time.
Do you remember the movie?
I had a movie? Oh, yeah.
I do remember the movie.
It was I
think there were two movies.
There was an older cow that was kind of like a father figure to Otis. Yeah, that was the first movie. That movie was the first instance of Back at the Barnyard ever. Like, it was a movie first, and then it became the show. That's why a lot of people, I only found this out like last week, a lot of people don't like the series because they saw it as a dumbing down of a movie that was really good.
Yeah, usually that's how I feel. Like that, I don't follow series after movies usually because of that feeling.
It's a Durara back in a situation. Depends on which one you see
first. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
because I remember watching the show, loving the show, and then seeing this movie. It's like, what is this movie? It's like, it has no connection to anything. But then I was like, that was an absurdly good movie for this stupid show. And then back to what was normal next week.
Yeah.
So I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Now I get why people were so upset about it. Because I saw that first. Because it's a really good movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Like it has a very strong central plot. The characters, there's a lot of weight to the characters, their lives and their choices they make. And they're just talking cows, but it's still a really good song in the show. It's still got a really good supporting cast in the show.
Wow.
And then it's a slapstick comedy, and the main character is an idiot.
Yeah.
The main character was like an actual good main character. He's supposed to be like taking up the role of the leader cow of the barn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Still never got an explanation as to why all of them have udders.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a running joke in the fandom. It's like bulls don't have udders, but he also doesn't have horns. So it's like,
What is the answer?
Oh no!
someone just didn't know when they started drawing characters.
Yeah, they're like cow, udder.
Yes.
If you think about it, cow chicken. This cow also has.
It's also a male.
and it has a bull horns. It did, right? I mean, I just
Okay.
made that up.
I do not.
Yeah, it has horns.
Or are those
Or
its
is it
ears?
yours? No,
No, it is horns.
It has tiny
Yeah,
horns.
it's got tiny horns there.
Yeah. So I think it's just a lot of people just didn't understand that for a
No.
while.
Can you imagine? Society has grown to understand, like, gain common sense of, like, animals.
Animals.
Animal common sense.
Animal.
It's like even the whole. I remember when I learned that not all chickens have the what is this called
Gobble
again?
gobble thing.
That's what I call it too. What is it? There's a name. Anyways, not all chickens have it.
The waddle.
Never knew that.
Wattle.
Okay, I didn't know that word.
Wattle.
I did not know that word.
It's the same thing
Wait.
as a comb, just a different name for it.
Now I gotta make sure. Yeah, hens don't have the waddle, right?
Waddle?
They don't have it. Now my brain is like, do they?
Have a waddle.
I think they all have the comb. But do they?
Healthy. They do have a waddle. Wait, do they? Oh, it's
Yes.
small.
They do, but they're small.
Yeah, that's why
They're
you never
dragons.
notice because the roosters have the giant thing going on.
These are all roosters, though. Like that's a hen, I think.
You sure?
No.
I'm confused.
So confused.
Well, it says
Just
right
tell
here.
us
It says here.
It says here.
They have
They
waddles.
They have waddles, but
Okay.
and a laying hen has a waddle that is
Large,
so
glossy,
they have.
soft, and waxy. Go to images. Yeah. Oh,
that's
it's
a
just
chicken.
really tiny.
I mean,
yeah.
that's a hen.
Yeah, that's just a chicken.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
sure.
the same thing, just not as grown
Yeah.
as a hen.
Okay, so they have it, but it's just tinny.
And looking at those things up close is kind of gross.
It is very
Oh, yeah.
gross. Don't look at things close up.
They
It's
have
not.
an ear hole?
Huh.
I thought they didn't have ear holes, like they were covered over like a thin layer of skin or something. Yeah.
Earlobes too. Wow.
But anyways, I said that to say like there's some things about animals that people just don't know. So it's like until it becomes talked about in media, it doesn't become common sense.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there was a point in history of America where female cows have udders only. Became common sense, you know. Before that, it wasn't really
It's like
there.
if you're drawing a cow, you
It has to have udders.
in order to know what this giant mammal is,
You have to put udders.
you gotta put udders on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say.
We're gonna end on cow udders.
Udders.
Yeah, so that was weird. So, guys, if you like the time here, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And please let us know down below what you thought of Courage the Cowardly Dog and any other show that was really weird in hindsight. Because I've been learning some weird things about Totally Spies. But thank you very much for being here. I will see you in the city. Goodbye.
Bye.